On. This segment is brought to you by the Arnold Palmer Light from Arizona Iced Tea. It's almost like nothing at all. Let's let's uh let's welcome you all. Or let me welcome you all to Stone. You can welcome each other, one and all, and one and everyone, to Stone Soup Poetry. Very postponed online open mic. Thank you guys for your patience. Tomorrow I am bound for a spa. Today I was bound to my girlfriend's classroom to help her assemble. Check out the TikTok puppet videos I made when I had way too much spare time in my hands. And now I know why she always tells me what to do because left to my own devices, it's very suspect. It's incredibly sus. So we have the open mic. I have absolutely nothing yet to announce for September. Perfect. Let's Stone Soup's running as it normally does under my command. Let us go now to the online open mic. The reason you're all here for each other or yourself and you just won't admit it. Anyway, I am rambling abound. Thank you guys for your patience and let's start with Ramdonator 5000's first Ramdonated choice. Let's go to Mary Jennings. You're muted. I just asked you to unmute again. There you go.
Here I am. Yes. Okay. Last, sorry. Last time I was on here, I read a poem based on the movie A Face in the Crowd. Um, I realized it wasn't a complete poem, so I wrote a companion piece to this that explains, yeah, how he got exposed. And this is called Marsha's Hand, based on A Face in the Crowd, written by Bud Schulberg. Marsha's hand is in all of this. She flips the switch on her hidden mic, and she turns a lowlife with a guitar and tales to tell into a major celebrity. His engagement with the common folk made him a TV era folk hero, then a cottage industry, a major enterprise, a corporation, a political advisor. He took her along for the ride because she knew how to handle him. He flipped a switch in her heart, and she doesn't know if she can handle that. An educated woman and an ill-bred man. Sometimes he's like a boy, abandoned and alone, but not for long. The world wants a piece of him. They will think twice when Marsha flips the switch on the hidden mic and they hear his smack. They will wonder what they saw in him. Marsha asks herself the same question, wishing she could see what was ahead and leave him to rot in the Piggott jail cell. Marsha's hand is in the mighty fall of a mighty-mouthed country boy and the empire they built. Shockwaves felt around the world with just a flip of the switch. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Let's bring it
You're
over
welcome.
now to Mr. Rick Spizak. Glad you're back, Mary, and glad you're back, Rick.
My pleasure. Uh, there's so many interesting issues. I've written recently about the president's suggestion that we look at the bright side of slavery. I think first of Eric Idle's always look on the bright side of life, but instead I'm going to deal with a different crime entirely. I call this assault and cheese sub with a vengeful vegan sandwich, not a club sandwich nor a man Mitch, sought destruction or some furtherance of corruption to stain the plain black bulletproof vest prevents the stain of the attack, unless tomatoes and French fried potatoes conspired with the lettuce combined in the saucy mayonnaise, this serious countenance, his demeanor much like a wiener with sauerkraut tart, and cutting clean like a butter slice. This loafing meat dare not compete the sleuthing officer's proper duties, Scooty. Chips that flip and slip plain or barbecue or mesquite and, well, what have you. Salty, spicy, vinaigrette chips with the plain or fancy, oh, so hazardous dips. French onion and more Diet Coke contains the remaining nomination. Let us pray. And when the officer was threatened by a sub sandwich, he was heatedly confronted by a man which expressed his disgust with the tossed salad of a sandwich. The whole squadron that surrounded the missile sandwich tossing miscreant showed such restraint. He was not painted by their laser sights. He was not pounded into the pavement, though they still might. A headline shout sandwich thrower who hurled his sub feds during the DC crime crackdown is charged with a felony assault with this pickle packing partisan who had only shorts and a t-shirt on. 50 brave officers assaulted the miscreant whose assault with mayo and the hunted man shackled and spackled with lettuce bits left the officer peppered and assaulted, whose badges were enshrined, even exalted by the tossed vegan sub. The judge requested he who had been battered by the sandwich stand, hold the lettuce, the judge uttered. A gentler sentence. Was it yellow or spicy mustard mixed with custard? Was there tomatoes involved? Is a problem that can be solved without resort to claws? Could the courthouse hold out for chili or hot pepper sauce? I leave you there with the fact that, thank God, the grand jury laughed them out of court. No felony charge for the felonious sub-sandwich missile. Thank you, my friends. Perhaps the second round will allow me to regale you with one other bit of falderall.
Instead of felonious charges, I think you mean balonious charges.
It could very well have been.
I got it. That one might be beyond me, but I leave it to you. But it's not beyond. It's not beyond most poets, thankfully. Check out Oddball Magazine's poetry segment from yesterday. A very concise essay by Grady Van Wright and a nice poem by John Wesick. And Spizak's illustrations were also present this past Monday in the latest Essex treaty by the poet writer with 4 names I can never keep order of. Stephen Justice David Sills, good Christ. Anyway, let us go now to Jackie Chow.
Okay, let me I hope I don't get kicked out when I try to get my file from the phone. If I get kicked out, I'll come right back. Okay, let me go to it. Okay, hopefully it won't kick me out.
Ah, crap. Okay, we'll get back to her. We'll go now to Jan Rowe while we're waiting for Jackie's return. Whoops. Jackie, Jan, are you able to unmute?
I got it.
There you go.
I wasn't even going to read this because I'm just writing it, but it's called Crying All the Time. Maybe it's because I carry water for the plants.
Okay, sorry it kicked me out.
So go ahead.
Okay. Let me try one more time. Sorry.
Jan's reading right now. Well,
okay.
Let Jackie go. Let Jackie go.
Okay. Thank you. Are you sure?
Yeah,
okay,
go ahead.
Let
if
me
you
try
got
again.
it, then go. All right, go.
Okay, let me try again. Okay, I hope it doesn't kick me out. You know what? I might have to share screen.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah,
that
do
would
it.
be
You're
okay.
already allowed, so there we go.
Okay. Oh,
There we go.
okay. So this poem is called Adding Flowers to Brocade and Not Sending Charcoal in the Snow. He praises my poetry like men in my youth with bouquets at the end of the plays and the dance performances. The kind of man who would have, the kind of man who would have, oh, sorry, the kind of man who would have a ring custom made for a girl, then pretend not to know her when she loses her pearlescence. The kind of man who would deliver Starbucks to a friend's new job, then disappear when that friend becomes unemployed. The kind of man who keeps the world on tiptoes to succeed, even when there are no jobs, no plays, no dances, no flowers, no poetry. I shudder at his words, wishing I could crush them under my soles. That's one. Okay, let me stop share and let me share the other one. Okay, so this poem is called Kindred. If you shall look into my eyes, you won't find a spark that is missing in yourself. You'll see no astuteness, no selflessness that you yourself are lacking. You won't spread your wings and show me feathers that I do not have, nor will you sing a song with melodies that I don't already know. We share a common blackness, bereft of colors to light up the dark. Birds of the same kind, no matter how far we part, we will end up side by side. Thank you. Let's stop share. Yeah.
You're good. Thank you so much. And now,
Thank you, Chad.
sorry for the static earlier. And we now have Miss Jan Rowe ready to go.
Okay. Okay, this is actually I read this for a while. The Black Seed Writers had afternoons where we would read and alternate with some guy playing the guitar and sing. So I read this there. Fear is change. I did this in the 70s, but I would not do it today. In the winter of circa 1976, I drove a 250 cc Suzuki motorcycle back to the Eastern Shore of Maryland from Annapolis across the 4 mile long Bay Bridge over the Chesapeake. So my first spouse drove the car. That's another story. Back to drive in a 250 Suzuki motorcycle in the winter over a 4 mile long bridge. I had fever blisters or cold sores on my lips. The cold ride froze the fever blisters right off my lips. At that time, I had a restriction on my driver's license to wear eyeglasses. I no longer have a restriction on my driver's license. So I remember looking down through a drainage gate on the 4 mile bridge as I drove the motorcycle in the winter from Annapolis back to the Eastern Shore. About a couple of miles of drainage gate, looking down about 100 feet to the Chesapeake Bay's cold water. I managed to keep the front tire of the motorcycle away from the drainage grate. I hadn't expected any grading, and then having to make sure to keep the motorcycle away from the grate. Also, I had to be careful not to be too close to the neighboring traffic lane. So I made it, and I almost immediately forgot what seemed to be a success. I notice often doing this, not celebrating good outcomes or delivered hopes very long at all. Making note of these good outcomes and delivered hopes, they might help. Also, these days, I wouldn't drive a motorcycle across that bridge. I wouldn't even consider it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Up next, we have gentleman Edward Galt.
Oh, thank you. Okay, this piece is called No Sweat. It never seems that bad at first. Just this thing. I'll pay it back next month. No sweat. Live in the present, it said. Don't worry about the future. So you buy the one thing, then the next, then the next, then the next. Always living in the present. We don't see the future. We'll pay it back next month. No sweat. The future comes, though. It comes as the present. Then you have to see it. They won't let you buy more. They won't let you buy more. You're in a jam because you realize you can't pay it back. Not for a very long time. You go back over your accounts to see if there's just a little more. There's not. In fact, you realize that you have even less than you thought you did to pay back your debt. It's not just what you owe for the shit. You have rent, utilities, insurance, and oh yeah, food. You won't get anything paid back in a very long time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Galt. Let's see, who do we want next? Let us bring up Kim Cavini.
Thanks, Chad. I'm going to read the poem that Doug Holder published in Lyrical Somerville, since I have never read it. Ways of translating a poem. Hum its words to the tune of a favorite song, maybe The River or Let's Stay Together. Recite each poem in the voice of a blackbird. Learn to speak with your beak, less tongue. Wrap each word around your finger. Give it a tickle. Take care when overstepping boundaries. Gargle unwilling phrases, but use only filtered water. Mouthwash is bad for prepositions in any language. Try changing the color of a verb. You may have to engage in trickery, as verbs are not salamanders. Unscrew the caps of wayward pronouns found in a rut, though the rut be flooded with crocodile tears. Lick the occasional stanza to help straighten out rogue lines, especially those twisty ones on the road to the sea. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Loving that. Let us go now. It's a shorter list than I thought. I thought there was like one or two more. Well, there are one or two more, but I thought there were one or two more than that. I'm enjoying this. Let's go now. We have because we have our DEI quotas. We have to have at least one visual poet from Delaware. So luckily we have Robert Fleming. I'm kidding.
Thank you, Chad. Good evening. I'm Robert Fleming. I'm a visual digital artist and a visual poet from Lewis, Delaware, and I'm going to share my selection for a submission which I will be making within a week. One of the presses that I participate with, which Chad has also participated with, is Four Feathers Press. Its editor-in-chief is out of Pasadena, California. Their next submission is for the theme of alienation. And I was fortunate because I had more works than you were allowed to submit. So you're only allowed to make 3 submissions. And I'm going to share some of the submissions that I considered and then my selection. This one is called Eggcubation. And the reason why I thought this was consistent with the theme of aliens is that if you look at the egg in the front, it reminded me of in the movie Aliens, where when the mother was breeding babies, similar reminds me that it looks sort of like that. So it reminded me of an alien. This other one is called Earth Thing, where I took several round images, which started with an image of the Earth and did digital manipulations to them and then put them all together. And then this is a disco ball thing. And here we have firework thing. And then this is called Cyclops under lily pads. And this is just a lily pad, but I applied a filter called liquefied smudge, which sort of make the lily pads look like alien faces a little bit. And here is 60 rolls of toilet paper, which I applied a digital art filter to them to give them this image. And this is another image I created where I started with a caterpillar, where I created a sort of a face of an alien. And within the last 2 weeks, I was doing a digital study of the planet Saturn, and I thought that the one eye on the right side looked a little bit like an alien. This is a very traditional theme of aliens, where humans believe that aliens kidnap humans and then do experiments on them. And then this I created from an image of a piece of ham, which started off as pink. This is called Planet Ham. So as I said at the beginning, I'm allowed to submit 3 works, and I chose to submit works that were created this year in 2025, which have not been published yet. And since me, like many other Americans now, are having challenging times, I chose works that were humorous. So this was the first one I selected, 60 rolls of toilet paper for an alien. And the left side is what the original image looked like, and the right side is the digital art manipulation. And then I did select Eggcubation. And again, the left side is what the original image looked like. And then here is Planet Ham. And then the left side is the original image of the ham. So thank you for letting me share my selection of my work for Four Feathers Press Alien Nation submission.
Thank you, Robert. Like I like the Saturn imagery because it showed the degradation of the rings, because I guess Saturn's rings are fading away. So I didn't know if you were touching on that. And my favorite joke about aliens abducting us and doing experiments was from the comedian Bill Hicks, where he would like talk to people who were bringing shotguns to alien sightings. He's like, "Why are you doing that?" He goes, "Well, we don't want to be abducted." I'm like, "Yeah, leave all this." Dude, if I lived in Fife, Alabama, I'd be praying for abduction. I wouldn't be picky. Greyhound, abduct me. But then he goes, "What do you mean abduction?" "Well, they abduct you and perform scientific and medical experiments." maybe it's a sterility dentistry program. Maybe they castrate you, straighten your teeth, and split. Kind of a clean up the universe pact. But anyway, enough of that. I like the work. I hope it gets picked.
Thank
What
you.
do we? Let's have next of the Mackler clan, Ethan of the Macklers, with a little musical interlude before James Van Loy closes us off for the first round. Thank you, sir. And up next, I'd like to bring up the closer for the rounds, taking the coveted Billy Barnum spot to bring it all home. But we will have a second round robin. But let's welcome up and thank and congratulate him for his 601st week installation of his poetry column. It's all one thing at oddballmagazine.com. Let's welcome up James Van Loy.
Thanks, Chad.
Guys, it looks like you muted again, and you might have a connection issue. But more important is the mute. Sorry, you're gonna have to
I
start from the
gotcha.
top. I don't know what
Thank you.
happened. You came off the bat and then something happened.
Okay,
All right, you're
here we
good.
go again. This is called Dark Age Ahead. I woke this morning with aching big toe and the slowly growing awareness that the gout had gotten to me again. I shouldn't have eaten all that protein. And I couldn't find my anti-inflammatory meds for several months. But then when I got up to read about the growing war, somehow out in the kitchen, there they were. That which was lost so long was found deep in cup where previously never saw them. And sure enough, I was early enough that within half an hour they had effect, and I knew it was the gout and that I would get relief, but that was nothing next to the horror on the TV set. Just went on, but they only talked of the one war when it's all one long war, genocide in Burma of the Golden Triangle, and civil war there now too, while Yemen goes on and on, tiny babies, spindly limbs retracting to an overwhelming assault abuse. And there's babies starving in Somalia and Sudan, and everywhere pandemic just goes on, even as they declare end to what the lack of public made permanent, like the sanctions on Cuba and Venezuela, and about the dozen other countries on the hit list of principal imperialist power. And I go and look in the book I rescued from some for some unknown reason off a shelf I hadn't looked at for years, which says Dark Age Ahead, which is now, I guess. Okay, and thank you.
Thank you, guys. Everyone, give yourselves $200 from the bank as we pass go. And hey, it is payday this week, at least for federal employees, the ones that are still around. Let's welcome back as we go to start. And unfortunately, passed by Boardwalk, not be able to buy it. Let's welcome up Mary Jennings.
Thank you, Chad. I'm going to read a ghazal called The Hardest Part. You want to be a child forever. Growing up is the hardest part. Long way to go, short time to get there. Showing up is the hardest part. Have you ever been on stage without a script? Going up is the hardest part. As the stomach turns, you cannot contain it. Throwing up is the hardest part. Time bomb is ticking, seconds to evacuate. Blowing up is the hardest part. Whether you're sainted or stained, owning up is the hardest part. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. And back to Richard Spisak.
You know, our very philosophical president has urged us to reconsider our negative attitude, and he's asked us to look on the bright side. And he said, "Let us consider the good side of slavery. After all, we may have overlooked some of the benefits. So I offer you this in celebration of the deep philosophical understanding that this man brings to his unitary executiveness." Hey, about the good side of slavery and any of the other kinds of 50 kinds of knavery, what about the pox? Just spotted socks. Maybe it's just a disguise, don't you see? Don't you see? After all, it's just me. And the plague, as they say, it was only so bad, but after all the deaths they had made Europe decimated, and by now they're all probably reincarnated. The real estate prices, they collapsed. How bad could it be? Half and half. And crime damn near disappeared. And after the nobles, they found they were no longer in arrears. Everybody was happy to work if they could drag themselves halfway out the door of the church. Yeah, and if you didn't like your boss, he might just, write you off. Kind of waste of food and just a loss. But if he took a liking to your family, some assembly might be required. He'd find it in a loss reducer, so he might indeed get a little handsy. Where midnight hour at the rendezvous, master might just tarry, and yes, for the little ones, it might be a little scary to be sold off like a bag of taters, but you wouldn't have to worry about them missing school. That comes later, as a rule. And with slavery's unemployment was down, you could always find someone to clean up if you stuck around. The horse prices dropped and all the disease, people would shun you, and after all, you could do what you please. Once the corpses were buried and back to the bitching about slavery and other such knavery, it was a full employment plan. You'd never have to wonder where your kids are. They were sold off weeks ago. And there were those who complain about war. Complain about war. They ask what's it for. All the explosions, they're fun, Make sure. Yeah, taking land, that's always grand. Big explosions and all those soldiers on excursions. Learning geography, bomb by bomb. Yeah, you got to do it while you're young. Meeting people at the end of your rifle, and some are bothered, but I call that a trifle. Yeah, well, slavery, some say your time has passed, but I can tell you now with the unemployment, can the demise of slavery really last? You're very welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Spizak. And now we go to Jackie Chow.
Okay, I'm gonna share screen because I don't want to be kicked out. Okay, let me see. Oh, okay, here it is. Okay, this is a Villanelle. Let me see. Okay, it's called 5% alcohol. I drink down. Oh, by the way, the next online edition of Four Feathers Press is Drink Down. Okay, so this is a poem for that. It's called 5% alcohol. I drink down wine coolers without being cool, waiting for its effervescence to rub off on me. Berry-flavored alcoholic drinks make life less cruel. Far away I am from the aquamarine pool, where youth opened doors to what one could be. I drink down wine coolers without being cool. The speeding red heart is my only jewel, for I own neither a sapphire nor a ruby. Berry-flavored alcoholic drinks make life less cruel. For my idealism, they call me a fool. Who will heed me when I lose my beauty? I drink down wine coolers without being cool. I don't mind living on meager gruel, as long as what I do makes me happy. Berry-flavored alcoholic drinks make life less cruel. Bending, following, and defying the rules, I immerse myself in the craft of poetry. I drink down wine coolers without being cool. Berry-flavored alcoholic drinks make life less cruel. Let me stop share.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Chad.
Glad you joined us again. Twice. Technically, you joined us yesterday. I was just asleep when it happened. Let's have us go to Miss Jen Rowe. Jen Rowe, everybody.
Okay, I sent this to Amtrak yesterday. I have ridden the Capital Limited since Washington, D.C. got its transit trains, and I could leave my old car at the most eastern tee. I enjoyed the old observation cars where you could see the tunnel names and year of construction and the wonderful history teller. Well, with Harper's Ferry and John Brown and the first troops moved by train. I have written notes from those trips. I enjoyed the new observation cars to watch the mist rise from the Youghiogheny after we boarded at Connellsville, Pennsylvania, and started the ascent about 7 a.m. But this time ascending at 10 a.m., 3 hours late, the river mist long gone. We were greeted by name, and I hoped for a riverside seat. But staff put us on the non-riverside, apologized, and Andrew, the Navy veteran that boarded with us at Connellsville at the mountain base, he didn't even have a window. We thought the river might be soothing after the 3-hour delay. The Capital Limited used to board by destination. However, when I went to the cafe car, they took the observations. There were several empty riverside seats, and some of the DC destination people were in a car with empty seats with water view. then another empty car before the cafe car. We could have easily had our desired river view. I did happen to see when the water flows direction change, going to the Mississippi or to the Atlantic. And I think I also saw the tunnels across the Potomac at Paw Paw, West Virginia. I know that Trump's first administration had put a retired railroad CEO in charge of the railroads and that the trains were lengthened to perhaps 3 miles and the staffing reduced to one. In 2017, I was on the first train through after the Heinemann, Pennsylvania derailment of 32 cars, many not supposed to be connected to each other. And they didn't even have to be there. They could have gone straight across to Ohio and PA. So to give more money to the CEO's people, railroad staff had been cut 30%. And there's no cell phone towers at the time. They finally got a cell phone tower 3 years later. So, and it's still going on. Last week, a rail worker's leg was amputated. So if you want to see some action, you can see derailments of grain and oil cars. So since this administration seems to enjoy cruelty, meanness, and they have all the money, all we can control is our reaction. I try to treat people as I would like to be treated. I'm also concerned about Amtrak staff. They're worried about the millions of dollars Amtrak's losing with these delays. It takes money to make it sometimes. I'll not ride that Floridian again. And Andrew, the Navy vet, he sat in the cafe car drinking those several miniature gin and tonics. Now, this could have happened on the observation car with the cafe downstairs. However, there is something to out of sight, out of mind. So the alcohol and the delay got to him. He argued and threatened fellow passengers, and he was put off the train at Rockville. So when we boarded in DC en route to Connellsville, the train did become full. Automobiles are increasingly unaffordable. I know 3 people who just went into debt to replace their vehicles. And now Amtrak passengers, they gave up seats without being asked as an Amish couple, babe in arms, 2 little kids, boarded 3 hours late in Cumberland, Maryland. So I hope the Capital Limited returns. Meanwhile, we can only control our reactions. In short, kindness pays. Yeah, I sent that off to Amtrak yesterday. Thank you.
Any articles you have online, Jan, about the train crashing? I'm doing something that touches on Ayn Randism and objectivism. And of course, Ayn Rand loved playing with trains. But so that, well, if you ever read Atlas Shrugged, it was about the railroads. And everyone who tries to remake Ayn Rand as a movie is still about the railroads, even in like in the 2010s. But anything you have, just send over. I'd love to see it. Let's see. Edward S. Galt, if you're up for another round, we're up for
Yeah.
you. Oh, sorry, I muted you by accident. I went to go ask to unmute. There you
Okay.
go.
All right. This is called, at least tentatively, it's called Travels from Then. Still kind of working on a better title. Okay. Travels from Then. You knew me a long time ago. You knew who I was then. But I'm no longer the person I was then. Then I said some things. Then I did some things. I did and said those things for a reason. I reacted to what was said to me. I reacted to what was done to me. What was said and done affected the way I thought. So I acted in ways without thought. It was just a reaction. I didn't even understand it myself. I also have a side of myself, a dark side. This dark side repeats everything like a recorded loop. Shit got engraved in my head. The cruel things said, the cruel things done, every dirty secret. Getting repeated over and over again. At some time, though, I said no. No to the repeating loop. No to the memories. No to my reactions to them. In time, I found a sort of freedom from the past and created a future. I even found pleasant recollections that my darker self hid from me. Today, I stand as a stranger to you. You no longer know me. I say different things than I did then. I do different things than I did then. So we can start again. You can put behind who I was then. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Unfortunately, Kim had to leave for family obligations. So up now is Mr. Robert Fleming.
Thank you, Chad. So here is a photo of the New York City skyline, which I scraped from the internet. In order to take this type of picture, the photographer would probably need to be in a helicopter or on the top of a high-rise building facing this, which I did not have the fortune to do either. Here is a black and white version with the filter called Noir. And here is one with the filter called Tracer, which allows you, based on the intensity, to make your image between white and black. Here I took the last image and rotated it at 180 degrees. And then I put the one I rotated on the bottom to give it the appearance of a reflection. Here also is a different filter on the New York City skyline, which is black and white. Again, I rotated it, and then here is the reflection in the water. And these are two color filters of the skyline. This is a Windows filter called Calm. And this is another Calm filter. So thank you for letting me share my exploration of digital art with the New York City skyline.
Thank you as always, Robert. Looks like the musical interlude is coming a little early because of Kim's unfortunate absence. Check out our poem in the Somerville Lyrical Somerville. You can find a link to it on the Stone Soup page. I link all the Lyrical Somerville poems. For now, let's welcome up Mr. Ethan Mackler. Next. Up next, and finally, and this is totally finally this time, we have Mr. James Van Looy. Take it away, sir.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. So I got this poem here called Conspiracy and Cabal as Labyrinth. So this is one of my labyrinth poems. A cabal doesn't need a conspiracy. They make the rules, enforce them. As Ken Kesey said, you're either on the bus or you're off the bus. And if you're off, you're really off, as if you don't exist in outer space, flopping and spinning, now, here, nowhere, lost in the chaos, eternal moment, while however much you thought you knew it, it was always there. This caricature gesture of hate and tin hat conspiracy thinking. That John Birch Society invents a movement out of oligarch dry bones. And Powell Memo coagulates the scab over the economic woes of the last Great Depression and effortlessly harness international monetary funds and world banks to their own agenda, going from national elite to national elite, making many an offer can't be refused, or else the one-way ratchet that always turns to the right, whether you're on the left or on the right, just flopping and spinning in outer space. And so it goes, as Veronica said, except when the official storyline slowly, decade by idiotic policy decade, gets farther and farther completely cut off from those pesky, stubborn facts on the ground. The doubling down, the tripling and quadrupling down on failed policy, on mass incarceration, a war on drugs that is an Amway sales plan for dangerous substances distribution, the endless forever wars, regime change, coups, military juntas in the name of democracy, the war crimes, torture, mass surveillance. The wingnuts are actually more paranoid than those of us who always known there was probably a file on us, and nothing works. Most especially that which is public and which is so much of what actually allows us to form a community. Us, humans, the most monumentally social of creatures. And so there's a song that goes with this for the president. Let me see if I can find it. I got it right here. So this is a Dutch song that was written in 1965 for Lyndon Johnson. Meneer de President, wel te rusten, sleep well, rest well. Meneer de President, wel te rusten, slaap maar lekker in your mooie witte huis. Denk maar niet te veel aan all the verekusten, waar jongens zitten in zijn 4,000. Denk vooral niet aan de 46 doden, die vergissing last met dat bombardement. And forget het vierde van de 10 geboden, die als good Christians zeker kent. Denk maar niet aan alle very young front soldaten en zijn sterven in de very trappen nacht. Laat de wiki passen wies en klik maar praten, meneer de president. Slop Zuck. And that's just the first verse, folks. So I'll leave it there. Basically, of course, what it says is, Mr. President, rest well, sleep beautifully in your beautiful White House. Think not too much about all the far coast where your young boys sitting lonely far from house. Think not on the 6 and 40 dead, the mistake with that last bombardment, and forget the fourth of the 10 commandments that you as a good Christian surely know. Do not think about all the young frontline soldiers, lonely, starving, and death in the far tropic night. Let the weak pacifist clique still prat on. Mynheer President, Slop Zuck. Make you sleep softly. Thank you. So anyway, peace.
Thank you, James. Thank you so much for a wonderful night. I'm glad I didn't wuss out completely and got this moved to Thursday. Maybe we'll do more of these. I don't know. We're approaching my anniversary for the first show I ever hosted at Stone Soup, and I'm gonna be talking to Jean-Denis Jacquim to see about doing a live show, and I hope people are able to show up for it. I'll say this: someone actually suggested that I hold it at the community church now that people know about it, because of the Boston Poetry Marathon. And thanks to everyone from Stone Soup who were invited to read, regulars, irregulars, and whatnot, and performed very admirably. No one disappointed from as being first-time poets. I don't know if I said that enough last week because I was exhausted, but so yes, I am very, very happy for that, and I'm very happy for the next few months coming up, and yes, that's about it. So do the wave as the sun sets over there. We are saying goodbye to Stone Soup for the week, and hopefully I'll catch up on the Stone Soup croutons. I'm going to a health spa, but well, maybe I can catch up, maybe not. We'll see what happens. Thank you guys so much, and have a great evening, and stay tuned for more news. It could be like this every week. All we need is you. And that's it. The show's over. See you next time.